Solving systems of inequalities. Slide 2. Based on their previous experience, Desmond and Shelley come up with the following time estimates. Standard size interior lots, 1 hour to mow and ½ hour to edge. Large lots are 2 hours to mow and 45 minutes to edge. Remember, a half an hour is also 30 minutes. So now let's watch these slides. So X stands for the number of standard size yards and Y stands for large yards. The number of mowing hours per yard are 1, 2 with a constraint, which means they cannot go more. They have to go less than or equal to 30 hours. Number of edging hours per yard takes a half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, and they have less than or equal to 12 hours. So please copy down this table. We can turn these two tables into two equations, or what we call inequalities. X plus 2y is less than or equal to 30. 1/2 x plus 3/4y is less than or equal to 12. Now let's move on to slide 3. So make sure you define the variables from the table. So x equals the number of standard size yards, as it says in the table, and y equals the number of large yards, again, as it says in the table. Moving on to the next page. So now we have 10 standard size interior lawns and 8 large corner lawns. I'm going to plug in 10 for x and 8 for y, so please copy this down. So notice when I plug it in, 10 plus 2 times 8 is less than or equal to 30. 2 times 8 is 16. 10 plus 16 is 26. 26 is less than or equal to 30, so it's true. I also plug it in for the next one, so I plug in x with 10 and 8 for y. I end up with 11 is less than or equal to 12, which is also true. So Desmond would mow 26 hours, and Shelley would edge for 11 hours. Did Desmond and Shelley have extra time? Yes. Let's move on to part B. Again, this time I plug in 6 for x and 15 for y, so please copy this down. Notice when I simplify, 36 is not less than or equal to 30, so it's false. 14.25 is not less than or equal to 12, so again, it's false. Desmond would mow for 36 hours, and Shelley would edge for 14.25 hours. Did Desmond and Shelley have enough time? No, they did not have enough time. Part C. For part C, we plug in 6 for x and 12 for y. So please copy this down. When we simplify the first one, 30 is less than or equal to 30. They're both equal, so it's true. 12 is less than or equal to 12. Since they're equal, it's true. So Desmond would mow for 30 hours, and Shelley would edge for 12 hours. Did Desmond and Shelley have extra time? No. And then for part D, we plug in 18 for x and 6 for y. When I simplify, 30 is less than or equal to 30, so 30 equals 30 is true. And 13.5 is less than or equal to 12. That's not true, so it's false. So Desmond would mow for 30 hours. Shelley would edge for 13.5 hours. So that means Desmond has enough time, but Shelley does not. So who went over their time? Shelley. Let's move on to the next page. Slide 4. So rewrite in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to draw my line underneath the inequality. X plus 2y is less than or equal to 30. I'm going to subtract x, so I have 2y is less than or equal to 30 minus x. To get y alone, I divide everything by 2. So y is less than or equal to 15 minus 1/2 x. Now let's do the same thing for number 8. 1/2 x plus 3 over 4y is less than or equal to 12. I subtract the 1/2 x, so I have 3/4 y is less than or equal to 12 minus 1/2 x. The opposite of dividing is multiplying, so I'm first going to multiply everything by 4 and then divide everything by 3. So my slope-intercept form is y is less than or equal to 16 minus 2/3 x. So right here is the first graph. Notice the x-intercept is 30. The y-intercept is 15, and we're shading below. And now we're going to graph the other line. The y-intercept right here is 25. The x-intercept, the y-intercept is 16. And again, I shade below. So please copy this down onto your graph. And on to slide 5. So because neither variable can be negative, we really have a system of 4 inequalities, not just 2 inequalities. Write these 2 new inequalities and the original 2 inequalities to show the complete system of 4 inequalities which Desmond is referring to. So we already saw the first 2, but since it cannot be negative, it has to be greater than or equal to 0. So x is greater than or equal to 0, and y is greater than or equal to 0. After you copy those down, please go to the next page. Desmond continues, also notice that the point 10a is below both of the lines. That agrees with the observation we made earlier about the mowing schedule that point represents. So let's explain what Desmond means by this. The combination of 10 standardized lawns and 8 large corner lawns is feasible, but neither Desmond or Shelley would use all the time available. So let's use this graph, and now we're going to match along with it. The point 615 falls above both lines. This corresponds to neither Desmond nor Shelley having adequate time required for mowing and edging 6 standard size interior lots and 15 large corner lots. The point 612 falls on both lines. This corresponds to both Desmond and Shelley having exactly the time required for mowing and edging 6 standard size interior lots and 12 large corner lots. The point 816 falls on the line x plus 2y equals 30 and above the line 1/2 x plus 3 over 4y equals 12. But Shelley, this corresponds to to Desmond, having exactly the time required to mow, but Shelley having less. Desmond increases his mowing time to a maximum of 36 hours per week. Shelley increases her edging time to a maximum of 15 hours per week. So let's first define the variables. So x represents the number of standard size interior lots. Y represents the number of large corner lots. Write the system of inequalities that represents the new constraint. Desmond time constraint is x plus 2y is less than or equal to 36. Shelley's time constraints, 1/2 x plus 3 over 4y is less than or equal to 15. And then our restrictions is they are not negative, so x has to be greater than or equal to 0, and y is greater than or equal to 0. And now copy down this graph on the next page. Are the mowing schedules represented by the points 615 and 866 now feasible? And yes, they are. Diversify.